Hey everyone, what is going on? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but back when my Android, the LG G2, was my daily driver, I was so obsessed with Android phones, and one of the phones that I always wanted was the original Droid Turbo, and that thing was super awesome. It had an AMOLED screen, it had a huge battery, it looked pretty rugged and looked super sick, and for some reason I never got it, and I eventually switched to iPhone and iOS and it sucked me in. But right now I have the next version of that, the Droid Turbo 2, and we're just going to take a look at it. Now, this phone came out in 2015, so it's almost 3 years old. It's going to be 3 years this year, and I literally thought this phone came out last year or 2 years ago. I didn't even know it was already 3 years old. But looking around the body, I think this is one of the weirdest looking phones in the world. It has a lot of bezel on it, even though it doesn't even have any buttons on the front body. We have a weird setup. We have front facing speakers, kind of. We have a 5.4-inch AMOLED screen, and it's 1440p, so it's pretty sick. The body feels pretty solid. This definitely feels more like a budget phone of 2018. It does not feel like a flagship at all. It definitely feels pretty cheap, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break. It feels pretty solid in my opinion. Now, the weird thing is this phone is actually shatterproof, which is really weird. I saw a bunch of drop tests and stuff for this phone. I don't want to drop it myself because I'm kind of scared to, but it's pretty crazy that this thing is shatterproof in a way. The screen won't crack or anything. It will if you drive an axe to it, but for everyday use, if you drop it or anything like that, it'll be able to handle it. Now, turning on this phone, we actually have Android 7.0, which is the already a year-old version of Android. Now, luckily it did get 7.0. I figured it would stop at 6.0, and really using this phone isn't that bad at all. I'm actually surprised. For a 2015 phone, it's pretty solid in terms of performance and everything. It has a Qualcomm processor, Snapdragon 810, has an octa-core processor, has an Adreno 430 GPU. It also has 3 GB of RAM, and with all those things mixed in, gaming and everything was fine, performance was fine, scrolling through in and out apps, website loading, all that stuff. It seemed very, very good on this phone. Now, it's not the fastest thing, it's not supposed to be, but it is pretty fast. And if it was between this or a Galaxy S6 or something like that, this is pretty up there. And I was trying to find some reason to hate on their performance, but I really can't. It's pretty much above average in my opinion. And now switching to the cameras real quick, it has a 21 megapixel camera, which is pretty decent. It can shoot quad HD videos at 30 frames per second and 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. It doesn't offer any 60 frames or 120 frames at all, which kind of sucks a little bit. So in terms of video, it'll be okay if you stick to 30 frames, but if you want something kind of above that, like 60 or whatever, you will probably be better off looking elsewhere. It does have phase detection autofocus, which is pretty sick. It also has a 5 megapixel front-facing camera, which is fairly average. I don't know why Android manufacturers, they've recently started actually updating their front cameras quite a lot. We saw that with the Pixel 2 and the Galaxy S9, but at this time, front cameras weren't really that great, but they've since fixed it, so that's a good sign. Now, one of the main reasons I wanted the original Droid Turbo was battery life, and it's the same case here. This thing has a 3,760 mAh battery, which is fairly huge for, a 2015 phone, because even at this point, phones were still max 3,500 maybe, but this thing beat that. And the battery life is super awesome. It can definitely last a day on my usage. It could probably go a day and a half, but you would have to be a little, conservative in terms of, how much you're going to use your phone. But really, in my usage, I think it's pretty sick. And I really wish phones would start having battery life or battery sizes this big, because 3,760, that's a huge number. Even at this time, 3,000 millibar was pretty big, and 3,700, that's huge. Now, some other things to note, it does have a micro SD card slot, which is super sick. We've seen some manufacturers take it in and bring it out and take it out again and stuff like that, but this phone does have it, so that's super cool. And I did talk about the shatterproof protection. That's super sick. I can't really think of anything, bad about that. I wouldn't recommend dropping your phone and throwing it across the river or something. And in this case, if it has it, that's even cooler. There is a front-facing flash, which is pretty interesting. I don't think I'm ever going to use it, but it has it, so at least you guys know. So should you go out and get the Droid Turbo 2 in 2018? Now, I'm going to say that there's really nothing wrong with this phone that, begs me, to not recommend it to people. But this phone is still kind of expensive a little bit. I did get a little bit of deal on this because it does have some screen burn-in, which is something you have to kind of note when you're getting a phone with the OLED screen. But in my opinion, if you're looking for a phone around $100, this is not a bad phone at all. Just know it doesn't have any more software updates, and I'm not too sure if it does have the ability to be rooted or ROMmed. But just know that in my opinion, I think this is a pretty solid phone. It'll be able to handle pretty much everything you throw at it, and if you throw it at something, it'll pretty much be able to handle that too. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. If you guys want to purchase one, I'll leave a link in the description if you want one. And that is pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that don't mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. We're giving away an iPhone 6s and an iPhone SE on this channel, and in order to enter, all you have to do is follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both those links will be down in the description, and you have to subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button's right there, so you might as well just click that too. There's a link to a video in the description, and basically it just explains more about the giveaway. I posted that video a couple weeks ago, so you might as well check that out too. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.